today I show you how to sew my new dress. I think it's perfect for a wedding guest dress or normal summer dress, and you can sew the long version but also the short version. And today I sew the long version of the dress, and I use this lyocell fabric, and I think it's very flowy and soft and very light. You can also use cotton or viscose or maybe linen, but the linen should be not too thick, so it should be lightweight. Yeah, let's go. So now we can start. Don't forget your notches here. I always make a small cut. And also here. And then we can pin a needle here at the end of the dart. Like this. And then I hold here the needle and do it like this. So now it's through both layers, and then I pin a needle here in the same hole from the other side. So, and then we can open the front, and then we have here the end of the darts. And so now we can sew it. So this is the left, and I place here my notches together, and then I hold it here like this, and you can also pin it. So, and I do this on both sides. So then we can sew the dart. I start here without front and back stitches. I only leave the yarn here a little bit longer, and later we will make a knot. And then I sew here very close, and then to the notches. You can also make a line with a erasable pen or chalk. So maybe it's a little bit easier, but yeah. And at the end we make normal front and back stitches. So and then we can iron the dart to the bottom, like this. I do this on both. And then we can sew the back ties. For this I used bias tape, and one of them is a little bit too short, so I place it here like this, and then I fold it here, nice sides together, so, and then I sew here from this point to this, and then we can iron the seam allowance open here, And then we can fold the tape here, nice sides together, and then we sew here with around 4 millimeters, and then we can cut the seam allowance a little bit and turn it with the loop turner, or if you don't have a loop turner, maybe with a safety pin. But then maybe it should be a little bit wider than 4 millimeters, maybe 5. And then we fold it here, nice sides together, and sew here around 4 millimeters. And then we can turn it to the nice side with the loop turner. And I do this with all of them. So and now we can make a nice seam here at the back, and also here and here. And for this, here two options. Option 1, you fold it 5 millimeters, iron it 5 millimeters again, and then sew close to the edge. Or you can, if you have a fabric which you can iron not so good, or you want it really nice, then you can sew here only on one. Then you can sew here 5 millimeters from the edge, only one layer, and then we can fold it here directly at the seam. So it's very easy to fold, and we can sew here very close to the edge and cut the seam allowance a little bit, and then fold it again 5 millimeters. I do it this way, but you can also fold it 5 and then 5 again, and then close, so close to the edge. And make sure you have one left and one right back part, because here my nice side and right side and left side is the same. So I start with one of these sides with 5 millimeters, normal stitch, so, and now you can iron it, or maybe it's enough to fold it here, and then we sew here close to the edge. Then you can cut here the seam allowance a little bit, or maybe if it's too small you can just iron it and sew again. So then we can sew here close to the edge. And I do this here on the long side and also here on the bottom, and the same on the other side. So and then we can sew the shoulder seams. Here I place my, here we have the nice side of the front and here the nice side of the back. I place it nice sides together, and then we sew here the shoulder with 1 centimeter seam allowance, and also here the side seam with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Do this on both sides. And here at the side seam we can cut here the dart maybe a little bit, and also here the end, like this. And then we can finish the edges. For this I use this overcast foot and the overcast stitch. Oops. This one here to 1, and yeah, here around 4 or 5. But you can also finish with normal serger or a zigzag stitch. Here, and first I only finish here the shoulder seam, and later I will finish the side seam. And then we can iron the shoulder seam to the back. So now we can do the same with the neckline here. This is the back neckline, so the back and front, the same as here at the back. So first I sew here with around 5 millimeters, and then I fold it, sew again, fold it, and then sew again. And then we can iron the neckline. And then we can sew the back ties here to this edge at the neckline, and also here. So I have 4 of them. Here we can cut it, or yeah, maybe later. So I place it here like this. Then I sew here a few stitches. Then we can cut it here and fold it to the other side, and then sew here a few stitches again. And I do the same here and also on the other side. So, and then we fold it here to the outside, and then you can sew, yeah, maybe it's easier from the outside, here a few stitches. So then we can sew the center back of the skirt and with 1 centimeter. So here the lower edge is the center. Right sides together. And then we can also finish the center.
And then we can iron the center back to one side, and then we can iron here the upper edge 7 millimeters, and then 7 millimeters again, and then we can sew here close to the edge, and yeah, because then we have a tunnel for the elastic tape. Then we sew here close to the edge. And then we can iron it a little bit. And then we can pull the elastic through the tunnel, and you can do it with a safety pin, or if you have a loop turner. And then we can sew it here on one side, around 5 millimeters here, and then we can cut it off. So. Only on one side. And now we can sew the side seam of the front and back skirt, and we leave a little bit open around 3 centimeters, because then we can try it on and adjust the elastic tape. So now we can close the side seam, so I place it nice sides together. So I place it here close to the top. And then I sew the side with 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then I can also finish the side seam. So, and on the other side I also finish, I also sew the side seam, but I sew it here from the hem, here up to 2 centimeters, so I leave it open here, because then I can adjust the elastic tape later. So I try it on, and then I adjust the tape, and then I can sew here the last 2 centimeters. And then we can cut the elastic here and sew it to the side seam. So I open the needle. So then I sew here the rest of the seam, and then we can finish both side seams from the hem to the armhole here, and also iron it. So now we can sew from the outside the seam allowance to the front. We can first iron it, and then we fold it to the front, and then we sew here close to the edge, because then the seam allowance stays in place and we cannot see it here from the open back. And I think I do it only here on the top and a few stitches on the skirt. Yeah, here from the armhole, around 5 centimeters. And then we can start with the sleeves. For this we have here the front slit and the front notch and the shoulder notch. And here always make sure you have a right and left sleeve. So we have here the right side. So I place it now right sides together like this. And also here, nice sides together. So, and then we can check the side with the notch. Here's the notch. And here. And then we can sew here the side seam of the sleeve with 1 centimeter and also finish the seam. Yeah. And then we can iron the side seam of the sleeve here to one side, and also iron the hem 7 millimeters up and then 7 millimeters again. And then we can sew here close to the edge, and yeah, but we leave a 3 centimeter opening here, and then we can pull the elastic through the tunnel, and yeah. This fabric is not too easy to iron, so I sew here with a normal stitch 7 millimeter, and then I can fold it easier. And yeah, so I do this under the machine, but you can, if you have a better fabric, you can just iron it 7 and 7 again, and then sew close to the edge. And now we sew the sleeves to the dress, and after that I will pull the elastic here through the hem. But like this it's a little bit easier. So I always start here with the side seam to the side seam of the dress, but you have to make sure that you have here's the front notch, and also here's the front notch of the dress. So this is the sleeve for this side, and I also check here, and I always place it here nice sides together, so the nice side here is outside, and then I have here the notch. So, and then I start here on the side seam. I place the side seams here together, and then I pin first here under the arm, so a few centimeters to the front, and then a few to the back. Yeah, but I show you. And I pin my needles always like this, and then here the front notch is here together. So, and then I do the same here to the back sleeve. So, and then I pull it here to the other side and pin from this side, so it's a little bit easier. And here I pin the shoulder seam, the shoulder notch to the shoulder seam. So, and then we can sew it here with 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then also finish the seam, and then we do the same with the other sleeve. When I sew, I always start here at the side seam of the sleeve. And then we can pull the elastic through the tunnel. I do this with my safety pin. So, and then I pin the end here. So now I try it on like this, and then I can change the length of the elastic a little bit, and yeah, then I can cut it and sew the elastic together. Then you can close the opening and sew the other sleeve. And for the hem, you can iron at 7 millimeters and then 7 millimeters again. Also, you can do it the same way as the neckline. Just sew here 5 millimeters, then iron or fold it, and then sew again, and then fold it again. I do it this way because of my fabric, but you can also fold it twice, 7 millimeters, and then sew close to the edge, and then we're done.